Hello, welcome to one of my colour palette explorations. What I do with these is I will find some inspiration, and usually it's something that I've kept with me for quite a while. For example, this one, as you can see, it's got a bit of tape and it's a bit torn. I think these colours and this woman look extraordinary. And as you can see, the colour that I've mixed is pretty close, but it could do with being a little bit more yellow, I think. Slightly more yellow ochre in it, and maybe even a little touch of white, just to make it a little bit lighter. The pink is definitely too dark and too pink, so that needs more white. Or I think a combination of white, a little touch of perhaps phthalo turquoise, which is in this green, and maybe buff titanium as well. So I didn't go far enough mixing that. I think I made it more like the flower on her waist and a bit more like the pink down here. This is the colour that you might be thinking, well, where is that in this photograph? I see it here, and it may be that it's less blue, but I think that looks really interesting, and that's not a colour combination that I would ever have made myself without the inspiration like this. I think it's a good foil for the much brighter, stronger colours. And then of course this rich sort of cranberry brown. So this has got a lot of magenta in it and some orange. Yeah, it's pretty close to that. And it's also got some crimson as well, but I'm going to write down all of that so you can print it out. And then finally, the orange. Now this is quite a lot lighter, I think, than this. But that's only because I'm looking at all the shadow in there as well. That's what your eye tends to do. You see all the subtleties. And obviously this is just one flat colour now. And this part here is definitely paler and not as saturated as this. And again, I think if I mix some of this pink into that, it'll be closer to that colour. But these are all the things that you can do when you're actually painting, and on your palette, of course. Obviously it works really well because there's a large expanse of this really delicate shell-like pink and just pops of dark contrast and rich warm colours, because this is quite a sort of cool greyish pink. I always start in my sketchbook and I keep on mixing until I get closer to the colour that I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a PDF out, which you can download below this video, and then you can try and mix the same colours if you like. The fun really is developing your own knowledge of mixing colour through trying to obtain the colours yourself. So once I did that, I then started to use some of the paint colours, and I worked on this painting here. Now you can see that there is some blue in this, some cyan, which is fine. It's just that that was the colour that I had over most of this board, maybe in a couple of different shades and some dark and some lighter blues. And you can see little bits of this blue coming through here. So don't feel, obviously, that you have to only use the colours that I've mixed in this selection. I've actually mixed only 5 colours, but there is a lot more you can do with those colours, and I'm going to explore how far I can take the mixing in a little while. I just wanted to show you how it can be really invigorating. If you're starting from the point of view of colour only, then it sort of frees you up to be a bit more loose and expressive. And this pattern was inspired by a pair of trousers that I bought recently, which are green and cream. But I really like the pattern. So the pattern is similar to what was on the trousers. And because I used a jelly plate, it's not a very solid colour. You could, of course, paint it. If I wanted to do it as a very solid colour, I would have painted it completely pink first, and then I would have painted the brown around it. And that is one of the key advantages of mixing your paint in a decent quantity, because then of course you've got it in your tub. This looks like it's orange, but that's because there was some of that in there. But if you've got enough for something like this, then this is certainly enough. Then you're not going to worry about running out of paint when you're painting around. And if you use really good brushes, you can get really quite crisp outlines as well. Before you even start creating a painting, you can play around with little mini compositions. And as you can see, I masked this off. This one here is beginning to do what I'm going to explore next, which is to introduce white to one of the colours, start mixing some other colour in. This is a mixture of the pink and the warm orange red. So playing like this, you really find yourself not worrying too much about composition. You just discover what might look good, and keep things like this, because you can go back at any point and choose one that you like. There may be things that you think, oh, actually, if I move this or made it a lighter colour, because as you can see, this red jug really gets lost on the brown because it's not light enough. If I'd used this peachy colour, it would really show up. So there's things like that you can change when you come to do it much larger. Making little mini compositions like this is such a fun way to explore quickly and in a very loose way what might work. And it's really inspiring, I think. And you could keep going, particularly starting to mix new colours. All I've done here in these backgrounds is paint the flat colour from one pot and then use the other colours to paint on top. The exception being this one here, which, as I said, is a mixture of two colours and a bit of white as well. And you can see behind me that I did a couple of larger ones as well. I'll show you those close up. I actually really liked this before when it was really simple. It was just this flat green behind, and then I put a mixture of, I think, the green, some white and a little bit of the red behind to make a sort of lighter background, and it became a bit fussy, but then I improved it by making it seem as if that was the light in the background, and then this is a darker wall in the corner. So it's okay, but what I love about this is the lower half. I really like this vase, and that's something that I think would be really fun to paint quite big. And this one I really like. It's again very sparse, but it's actually showing me something about my style, because this is something that I've started to do, is just mark the horizon with a line. When I say the horizon, I mean the edge of a table, and I really like perching things on the edge as well, as if they could fall off at any moment. And I love the loose clumsiness of all these things, how free they look, and yes, it's childlike, but I love that. I really do. And this is what's so great about doing fast, small paintings. This one here is an abstract, which isn't finished at all. It's just me exploring those colours. And you can see that I've started to use a little bit of white, and I very much allowed things to get mixed across here. For example, I moved some of this peachy colour over this steely blue. I got this lovely effect, kind of smoky effect. I don't know if it's going to end up saying an abstract, but I really, really liked the freedom of just playing around with those colours. And I fully intend to make this a much more rich, layered piece. And perhaps the proportions of the colours will either be even more exaggerated, so predominantly dark with just some light, or I might try to balance it far more like the original picture. It may be that this would look really lovely as a very pale, pinky white painting with more pops of the warm colours. We'll see, but I quite like the way it looks now. I mixed my colours yesterday, and since then I've created all this. Not this, this is just an old favourite painting. These are like beautiful notes to yourself, little reminders of what comes out of you naturally. Doing this is a fantastic way to experiment with values and mood and atmosphere and emotion. This seems like quite a joyful one. This one seems quite lively and potentially, you know, quite a passionate colour palette. This one is much more muted and darker, and so is this. It's quite soft though, it's quite calm. I actually really like that. Knowing me, I probably would want to just put a little pop of white in somewhere, maybe a beautiful tiny ornament or something. I don't know, like a little sculpture. A little sculpture or something here. Or a pattern, a light pattern on here. I don't know, but it's an idea, and I've really enjoyed doing it. I think you can tell. And then you can go on and paint something like this. I did it the other way around. I painted this because I had an idea for something else anyway, already in my mind. So creating this colour palette was just another way for me to get started on my idea. The next thing I'm going to do is mix up more colours from those 5 that I made. So these are my starting colours. So once you've worked out your colours, you can be a lot more neat. Might be a bit too much. A little bit of green, and I've mixed it over here, but I'll just mix that into there. So that's got much more pink in it than it has green. But look, ooh, look how lovely it looks next to that. I really like that. So you just go through doing the same thing. So a little bit of the pink here, some of the brown. We'll see what happens. And of course it could be a lot darker than that. And then you can even put that there and grab some of this. And at a certain point, the colours will start to become muddy, but it's not yet. And this is really quite easy to follow if you keep it in this sort of triangular format. So if I get another bit of brown here and then just wipe the excess off before I rinse my brush. And I'm actually not too worried about a little bit of, say, that colour coming in. It actually just makes it really rich. So there's some really beautiful subtle colours that you could use as a background before you then make impact with the stronger colours coming forward. So next I'm going to get a little bit of the red and mix that with the blue. And you see how similar it is to this, because there's a lot of this in there. If I just get some of that and a bit of blue without putting water in it, I can make a little note. So you can do that as well, because it's quite obvious when you come back that you probably thought, or what your thought process was. You know, you've basically added a stronger or a more equal amount of those two colours there. At least that's what I know what I've done. And you can do the same. You don't even have to make notes. It's a very easy way to explore colours a bit more. And of course I haven't used white yet, so that's another thing I would do. And where it gets slightly trickier is if I want to mix this with this, for example. So before I do the white, I'm just going to have a go with that. And to do that, I'm just going to make a little dab so that I know that that's what I'm doing. And then I'm going to get this. And then see what that comes up at. They are really lovely colours. That's particularly gorgeous, I think, with that. And what else have I not done? I haven't done the pink and the red. So I might do a little dab of that here. Let's get a little bit more pink. Interesting. It's not hugely different from those two mixed together, is it? Which is which I shouldn't be surprised at, because these two weren't that different. This is a powerful colour, really powerful colour. Okay, so what else haven't I not mixed together? I haven't mixed this and this together, but I think it'd be very similar to, it'll just be a lighter version of that, because they're really quite similar roots. I haven't mixed the pink and the blue together. Oh, do you know what I've done? I moved that. I just need to keep that there so I know what it was mixed with. Okay, so this one is going to be the blue mixed with the pink. Oh, those are lovely together, really lovely. I get so excited when I see colours, colours that are fantastic together. That one, that and that, oh, yum. But particularly, in fact, that with the pale pink and that colour looks really lovely. One way to make sure that you do know what you mixed is to just put lines so you can remember. And that was that and that. That was those two again. So I'm just going to say more. I'm just going to write a little note. M-I, more intense. Just so I do remember, because often I think I'm going to remember something and I don't. So that is, you could just do a line like that and that, and with this one it's pretty obvious, but it's going to get messy. But this isn't meant to be an aesthetically pleasing thing, it's just a note to tell you what you've done. So it is a straightforward way of doing that. And then obviously you could then start to mix these together and keep going. But what I'd like to do now is just mix the 5 with white so that I can see what they are like. And then I'll leave it there, because you could obviously keep going on and on. So that's that one with white. I'm not mad keen on that, to say, as a colour itself. Probably would look amazing next to something else. There's some of that pink with the white. And that's definitely a lot closer to this pink of her leg. Definitely. I think this pink could be mixed with a little bit of this colour and that. Okay, so brown with white next.
That I really like. And then the chalky blue. I wonder what these would be like actually. I'm just going to do that. Mix it in. It's a really nice colour. A lovely grey, in fact. So I'm just going to take my pencil and do that, so I know what that is. And then finally, the red. And then you can go off and explore this. If it inspires you, you can go and create your own painting based on these colours. I'm going to pack my pots away now. Until the next time, bye.